basically the way this whole project came about and how I really got involved was through a class. Brian and I had been taking a television production class, and our mentor and teacher at the time, his name is Doug, kind of approached us after we got to know him a little bit, and he was like, hey, I've been wanting to do something that I've done at other schools here, and I think you guys are the right guys to kind of lead this and make this come into fruition. And so ultimately he told us about a class where we would be making a short film. Originally we had toyed around with the idea of making a feature film, but that quickly went out the window because we were like, okay, maybe we should start small and then maybe build up to a larger film somewhere in the future.
We kind of jumped on it. We were like, sure, yeah, we'll do that. And so we got into it. We pulled in basically everybody else. We went to everybody and we were like, hey, we're doing a thing. You're pretty good at this. Come make a thing with us. And that's kind of how it went. We really had no other bearing on what to do or what to go off of, so we just kind of thought, hey, let's make a movie.
So once we hammered down the story, we started developing it naturally, and then we went into pre-production. So we wrote the script, we hired the actors, we casted the actors, and then started recruiting the people that we wanted to build the extended team. So we needed an art department head, we needed people to do behind the scenes, such as yourself, and then we needed people to do music, sound, all the major assets or the departments needed to make a production like this possible. We recruited the people that we felt would be best for that, and sort of from there, well, this kind of super team, I guess, kind of came together. The initial idea actually came from one of my good friends back home. His name is Nick Castro. He's actually really good at this. He comes up with some good ideas, so got a little plug there for you, buddy.
When I heard their story, I was just like, that sounds awesome. And they said that they were looking for a lead. And so I came up to them, but as soon as I was coming up to them, they were coming up to me because they had already considered me and they wanted me to audition. And so it came out of the blue, but it seemed to fit like that. It felt so right. Once we talked about it, and I met with the director Griffin and discussed this character and what it would mean in this film, I fell in love with it. And from there on out, it ran without a hitch.
So the most difficult scene, I'm gonna have to go with the continuous shot that we shot in the apartment. It's kind of funny though, because we never pictured that being one continuous shot, but when we got on set and we started piecing this thing together, it just sort of clicked in my head. I was like, this should be continuous.
So at this point, we had like a camera malfunction with it. So what we had to do was kind of figure out a jerry-rigged rig for the camera. So we couldn't just have our camera and our stabilization system and just going with it now. Now we had a 75-foot cable piped from the camera, which was on a stabilization system, over our backs, down into the separate recorder that was recording to a solid-state drive. And then from there we had an HDMI coming out to a monitor so that we could see what we were capturing and so on and so forth. It was just a nightmare. It was absolutely terrible. But it came out so well as soon as it was done. Like, it looks fantastic. Like, when scrubbing through footage and stuff, like, it looks so good. But it's one of those memories where I'm just like, yeah, we definitely made it up on set. Because there was definitely a part where Drew and I had basically walked out in the other room and we're talking, okay, how can we put all of this equipment that's in the corner that's now recording on us?
This is exactly what you should not be doing, but it's just like something that needs to work.
So there was a lot of moving parts, and that ultimately made for a pretty challenging shot. If you've ever shot a continuous shot, you know everything needs to be at the right place. It needs to be perfect so that when the camera comes in the room, everything that you want to be on screen will be on screen. So once we were finally able to get that perfect, or really as perfect as we could get it, shot, it was such an accomplishment because it was just incredibly challenging, and it was something that we thought of right there on the spot. So we had no intention of doing this. So I felt really proud of the team, of what we were able to accomplish on that shot, and then the rest of the scene flowed amazingly well, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
It was fantastic. That whole scene, it went really well. It was really efficient, and it was an absolute nightmare to shoot.
Honestly, one of the biggest takeaways was working with Roberto. Roberto, who plays our lead, was just incredible. I mean, the guy has so much experience, he's got so much talent, and it was really just such a blessing to be able to work with someone as incredible as him. He was able to kind of mentor me a little bit leading up to production, and then ultimately during production, if I needed to approach him or I needed to direct him in different ways, he was completely flexible. He had great ideas. He knew his character almost as well as I think the core 5 of us did, and he was able to become the Calvin that I think we all saw on the pages of Kaylee's script. It was really just absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to work with him more in the future.
Even though aspects of the film do adjust and change over collaboration and time, the message was always very clear to us that we really wanted the audience to be able to feel like they too could have the opportunity to escape parts of their life if need be, using the imagination and using this story as a springboard, which films in general have done that for a very long time. But in particular, we wanted to make sure that the message in this film was that the character was taking that to the extreme. He was allowing his full contribution and all of himself to go into this imaginative life that freed him from the burdens of his real life.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap on Slayte. Good job.